Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I love to get introduced and get a good morning, but in reality, that's just the warm-up for what I'm now going to introduce to you. I'm going to introduce to you two incredible heroes. Heroes that are dogs, yes, you probably knew that, but they're just not your typical dog. These two dogs ingested so many toxins, unfortunately, not by their own choice, that they almost both didn't make it. But not only did they find the inner strength to get through what was put upon them, but they decided to say, I'm going to use this for good now. I'm going to go out and help other dogs in need and inspire students just like you. I introduce to you Daniel the Beagle and Shelby Dwyer. Here they come. Give them a big hand. Oh, you can clap better than that. Come on. Now, in addition to Daniel and Shelby, I want to introduce my friend Carolyn, Nellie, and Stephen. You may remember Daniel, but let me just remind you, Daniel is the dog that was placed into a gas chamber for 30 minutes with 17 other dogs. The others, unfortunately, did not make it. However, he did. He became an instant miracle and an instant celebrity throughout the world. He has been to Hollywood multiple times. He has met celebrities that you and I would only dream of meeting. And he's been on a float in the Rose Parade. And he's been on every news station. But that's why he is famous, because he's decided he's going to do good with what happened to him. You see, he was put in that gas chamber because he wasn't a good hunting dog. Can you imagine being told you're not good at something and then that's how badly you are treated? But his real story is, I'm getting through this not only for myself, but for others. And that's why he's here. Shelby, I think, has an equally cool story. I have a book I wrote about her. Shelby's a pit bull, as you can probably tell. Shelby was really badly abused, physically abused. You know why? Because she wasn't a good fighting dog or even a good bait dog. So they decided, you know what? We'll just abuse you, tie you to a fence in a Shell gas station, hence her name, Shelby, because she had no name. She stayed there 2 days in the winter with no food and no water, and then she was brought to a shelter where nobody was willing to give her a chance until I did. Now, she was cared for in that shelter by some of the people, Carolyn and Nellie being two of them. However, she almost still didn't make it. But she's here today, and not only did she make it, she's now a therapy dog. She goes out to visit people who are very sick. She actually, for a time, went to the oncology department, cancer patients, every week to visit people who are dying. That's what she did with her story. That's why they're here to inspire us, because that's what they've been through, and that's why they're examples for you and I. So they have taken subjects like respect to a new level, because they were so disrespected that they said, you know what, I know how this feels, and I want others to feel better. So we're going to start with respect, which is an important topic. And I'm going to start by asking you, in a few years you're going to be driving. Now, if I said to you, you have a choice between this car over here, which is a beaten down car, one flat tire, not even everything works on it, it looks awful, or this car over here, which is brand new. It's the car of your dreams. It's got the perfect color. Everybody wants this car. Which one would you take? You'd take this car, right? I know you would. Well, guess what? That's you, and that's your body. Now you have a second choice. You either put really bad fuel in this car that makes it run awful, makes it run terrible so badly that it breaks down every block, or you put real good fuel in it so that it runs really good every day. Good fuel? Yes? Yes. Well, guess what? Now we have to talk about the fuel you put inside you for good respect of yourself. And we're going to talk about 3 things. The first thing, and Daniel and Shelby motivate me on this every day, is what you eat and drink. Good food, good drink, stay away from drugs, alcohol. I think you already know that. We actually talked about that in April. But I remind you because we all need to be reminded. But it goes beyond that, because we also need to take care of our bodies. The first thing these 2 do every day is say to me in their own way, take me for a walk. They want exercise. That's what we do to respect ourselves. We stay in good shape for ourselves. I go to the gym every morning for an hour, believe it or not. I still believe in that. But there's a third thing that I think is even more important. It's how you talk to yourself. Now, Shelby could easily say to herself every day, I am a bad dog because I'm a pit bull, and use that kind of negative thoughts for herself. Daniel could easily say, I'm no good because I wasn't a good hunting dog. That's putting bad fuel in a car, and neither one of them do that. So if I said to Stephen, listen, I know you're a better basketball player than me, I'm terrible at it, that would be putting bad fuel in my car, right? So we stay with positive things we say to ourselves, because that's what respecting ourselves is all about. Got it? Got it. Now guess what? The best news of all is then and only then could you respect others, because you have the choice and a chance to do good and put positive things in their car. And guess what? That's where Shelby comes in. Because yes, so many people passed by her. So many people passed by her and said, oh, she's no good. She's a pit bull. I was the one who gave her a chance. I gave her one chance. I said, you know what? She deserves a chance. I had no idea she would be a therapy dog. But could you imagine giving somebody a chance and they go out and do so much good? Now, if I was the one who said to continually and said, nope, she doesn't deserve a chance, and Nellie and Carolyn will tell you even better than me, then she might not have made it. She might not have made it, right? Probably not. And guess what? The thousands of people who she's made feel good, they wouldn't have been made to feel good. And I want to tell you one story of one day she was in the hospital. And there was a man, and he wasn't going to last much longer. He was actually going to die soon. And I was asked by the nurse, can you bring Shelby in? Because he is really sad. He really is giving up. He doesn't want to see anybody. So when I walked in, he saw me, and he went to wave me away. But then he saw this dog. Well, she's there somewhere. And guess what? He waved her over. And for 15 minutes, that dog, who almost nobody was giving a chance to, stayed with him for 10 minutes. And he smiled. And he said, thank you. And he actually cried tears of joy. That's what giving a chance can do. It has many positive effects. Give people a chance. Respect them like you respect yourself. That's what they have taught me. That's what I'm hoping they're bringing to you right now. Now, even in the best of situations, we could get a little bit angry at times. So I want to tell you this really neat story about one time where I had a choice to be angry or not. Now, I know you know what this is. This is a cell phone, right? And just about every person has a cell phone. Well, let me tell you a story about not that long ago. These didn't exist. Could you imagine a world without these cell phones? No. Well, guess what? It happened. It was for real. And guess what there was? There was things called pay phones. Now, all right, so let me explain to you what you had to do. You actually had to go up to this phone that some of them were outside, most of them were, and you put coins in it, and depending on where, yeah, this is funny, right? And depending on where the call was, you had to put a bunch of coins in. So, sometimes the coin wouldn't take. I mean, this was what we dealt with. So, because that was the only game in town, you had to wait sometimes. And I was actually waiting on a line to use a payphone once. And I was on a line of about 4 people, and all of a sudden it was my turn. So I was standing a little ways back from the payphone, and I went to go up because it was my turn, and somebody came out of nowhere, came in front of me, grabbed the phone, turned to me and said, "I'm using the phone first." Got a problem with that? So I had a choice. This wasn't something that was worth getting angry about, in all honesty. Now guess what? I had only weeks before passed my first-degree black belt test. So I could have said, yeah, I got a big problem with it. But guess what? It was not a big issue. So I said, no problem at all. And he turned to me, he said, "You have no problem that I'm cutting in front of you and using this phone?" "No, I don't. Use the phone and I'll go after you." Now I'm going to tell you, I have to be honest with you. I have not had that kind of success in every situation. But I realized that one worked a whole lot better than the times I got angry for no good reason. And once again, you know who's inspired me for that? These 2 dogs. This dog was physically abused. We'll talk more about it later. Guess what? Not once has she gotten angry in her entire life. This dog was tossed in a gas chamber for 30 minutes after he lived by himself in a cemetery for who knows how long. He had every reason to be angry at every individual he met. And he's the happiest dog I've ever seen in my life. Now I realize there are times that you can't do this, that there are times where you do get a little angry. You have to go to your teacher with something. But what I am saying is there's plenty of times that you can let it go. And I'm suggesting that based on the examples of these 2 dogs, there are times we have to sit back for that couple seconds and say, let me let this go. And when you do, you feel better. And guess what? So does everyone else. Because here's the other thing about anger. If I get into an argument with Stephen, and we get into an argument, which we don't actually, we've been friends a long time. He's nodding his head. He didn't have to do that. But in fact, if we got into an argument and I got angry about it, and I was all angry and frustrated, and then I have lunch with Carolyn and Nellie, and I'm over and I'm angry, everybody loses. They lose, I lose, he loses, and maybe it could have been avoided. And once again, this is where I've learned it, right here. Real positive ways of how they live their life. That's why they're heroes. They knock out those toxins like we need to do too. But guess what? There's good hope here. Because we have the ability to make positive friendships. And once again, I want to put an image in your mind. It's an image of a body of water. And that body of water is you. You've changed from the car to the body of water now. The body of water, you can keep it as clean and as healthy as you want. But every so often, some bad water comes in, and you have to determine what to do with it. And then there's water that goes out. Sometimes good water goes out, sometimes bad water goes out. But when you keep your water clean and healthy, guess what? Positive things happen. People have said to me, "Joe, you can't be friends with dogs. Dogs aren't going to bring you friendship like you need." Well, guess what? They're wrong. Because not only am I friends with my dogs, but if it wasn't for these 2 dogs specifically, and I live with 4, I wouldn't be friends with Stephen, Carolyn, and Nellie. Because that's how our friendships become positive, when we get involved in positive things. Now I want to tell you about 2 dogs who are not Daniel and Shelby, but they were in the news not too long ago. You see, their names were Tilly and Phoebe. Tilly and Phoebe were very good friends. They lived together. Phoebe fell into a well and could not get out and was in danger of dying by herself in this well. However, Tilly, her friend, stayed right by the edge of that well so that she would not be alone and she would not leave her side. 7 days she stayed there. It was amazing, amazing that they both lived for 7 days. But they did. They actually both made it. And fortunately, somebody came along and rescued both of them. Now think about this. This is loyalty like you love to see, right? Tilly stayed by Phoebe no matter what. I'm sure in those 7 days that it wasn't easy. I'm sure that Tilly got rained on or cold or hot, whatever the temperature was, I don't know. But I'm sure it was not comfortable, but she stayed by her friend no matter what. The other thing we must consider is Phoebe was probably a great dog, like most dogs are, but Phoebe wasn't perfect. So here's what Tilly could have done. This wasn't in the story, but you could see this being true. Tilly could have said, you know what? Phoebe chews on the blanket at home. She runs ahead of me and gets to the water dish before me, and that's aggravating. I'm out of here. But no, you see, what dogs do, which is really pretty cool, is they not only stay loyal, but they don't look at the negative things. They look more at the positive things about somebody. And that's in fact what dogs can do to teach us so much about positive friendships as well. Now, I know for a fact that you've heard the word bullying once or twice, right? So I want to start by asking you a very good question. Does bullying just exist in schools? No. Not even close. Yesterday, we were at the middle school, where you're going to be in a few years. And actually, yesterday morning, I picked up the newspaper, which I don't have with me now, but actually on the front page of the newspaper was a story about one of the New York Yankees pitchers who has checked himself into alcohol rehab. The interesting, though, part of the story is that the front page article makes fun of him because of that. I will tell you that at least what I think, that's bullying. Unfortunately, it exists all around us. But we have a choice. We could either follow that or follow what we know are better examples. But there's something else I want you to consider. Because Shelby had to have surgery on both of her back legs 3 times because somebody decided that they were going to physically abuse her. And unfortunately, because of those surgeries, if you look closely at her back legs, you will see scars that go from the top of her leg all the way to the bottom where she needed to have surgery. Not now, actually. You'll see it later. However, the real point is that those scars are not going away. She's got them for life. And when we take that choice, which is not the best choice, to bully somebody, scars do remain on them. They do. It's true. I could tell you about scars that I have, I'm not going to go into it, from being bullied when I was younger. And then there's Daniel. And I could tell you that I have been interviewed at least 100 times or more about Daniel's story. And the number one question, does he have any after effects from the gas chamber? And my answer is always, no, he really doesn't. Physically, he doesn't. However, I can tell you, every night, my 4 dogs gather around me before I go to sleep, and they go to sleep before me. They lay in different places in my TV room, and I would say 8 out of every 10 nights, Daniel has a nightmare. He wakes himself up by having a nightmare. The other dogs don't. Maybe once every 20 nights they do, but not 8 out of every 10 nights. I don't know for sure if that nightmare is based on his experience, but it surely could be. Once again, yes, there are after effects. And we have to consider those after effects every time the choice comes before us to bully somebody or to build them up and give them something healthy. Daniel and Shelby have provided incredible examples of doing the positive thing. I know you can too. I know you can. And believe me, I know this may sound strange to you, but one day I was in a school like this. Can you imagine that?
No.
Oh, come on. You're supposed to say, of course. It wasn't that long ago. Well, guess what? I know how sometimes you get caught up in the moment, maybe, but you always have to stop just for that couple of seconds and think, what is the possibility? What are my options? What can I do? Do I give an opportunity and a chance to build somebody up who's beaten down and then the positive things could happen? Or do I say, no, let me take this not so positive road? That's the positive choice that every single one of us have. And guess what? That's why we, the humans in this room, and myself, started Daniel's Dream. Daniel's Dream is a dog rescue. And the time we've been sitting here talking to one another, at least 200 dogs in this country alone have lost their life because there was no home for them. That in itself, unfortunately, is an area of bullying and lack of respect. And we have decided to do something about that because we want every dog to be as lucky as Daniel and Shelby. That's what we hope to do. So we are going out and finding dogs that need our help, and we're getting them homes. But the most important thing we do is what we're doing right now. Because I joked a few minutes ago and said, oh yeah, I was in a school like this not too long ago. Well, you are a lot younger than me. I need to fill you in on that. So I need somebody, we need somebody to do what we want to do and save these dogs for a lifetime. But it's beyond just that. It's about having a good and peaceful life. And that's what this is about too. To show you through two incredible examples how you can come to such a low point, but you could bring yourself up into such a positive place. That's what Daniel and Shelby have done, and I know they've done it for you. If you look at here, our tagline is Miracles Multiplied. Because in fact, both of these dogs are a miracle. Daniel is known as the Miracle Beagle. Well, a miracle is nothing more than an amazing achievement. An amazing achievement is right before you right now. The opportunity to take that chance, take that choice, make a good choice, and respect yourself and others. Are you ready to do it?
Yes.
You've been a great audience. I have something for you. I actually have a postcard so that the times when you have to give that choice, make that choice, you will maybe make the right choice. And it's a reminder to do that. But on your way up, you could say hello to Daniel and Shelby. If you make it quick and come up quickly, right? And also, there's many things that roll into the topic of respect. One of them is how to greet a dog. We may have talked about this last time, but in order to remind you, you don't go over to a dog like this. He doesn't see me, but if he did, even though he knows me, he'd be like, hey, wait a minute, what are you doing? You're coming over the top of me like that. Relax. Instead, you squat down next to them so that they can come up next to you and say hello this way. So I just ask you, though, to say hello to both of them relatively quickly and pick up a postcard. And if you agreed with everything that we talked about today, which I know you did because you're great students and you've been a great audience, how about a quick high five, or what's this called, a fist pump? See, I always go to my younger cohorts for that. All right, you've been great. Thank you so much.